Welcome to this next part about supply and demand trading. In the last parts of this free course, I showed you how to use the supply and demand zones to find very good entries. But of course, you can use supply and demand trading also for your own trading method. So maybe you already have a very good trading method which you like, but you need an indicator for finding targets or that you can stay out of possible bad trades. And in this case, supply and demand trading and the supply and demand indicator from Metagrid is a very good help for your own trading method. So let's check some examples, then you will understand what I mean. Here we are on the pound yen on the H4 time frame. And let's assume you have your own trading method and maybe you watched here this level here. So price was around here and you saw, okay, this is a very good level here. It's a kind of resistance here. And so when price comes back here, you maybe consider to enter a trade, and the candle came around here. And then you see, okay, it's going down, and maybe you have a trading method which gives you a signal to open here a sell trade, or you decide by yourself, now it's a good time to jump into a sell trade. But the question is then, where do I close this sell trade? You can see it really works good here, it goes down, but where's a good target? Maybe you think, yes, here could be a good target because here we had support before, here was also support, so maybe you consider to take this here as a target if you entered here your sell trade. So I mark it for you. Let's place here an arrow down. So let's say you got here your sell signal from your own trading method, or by your own decision you opened here your sell trade. And you decided to place here your target because it looks here like support. Then you see it was going down, but it never reached your target. It was going against you then. It stopped here, and then suddenly it was going up again, and then maybe if you had here your stop loss, then you have been stopped out here. So your trade was a loser, even if you had here a very good start of this sell trade. You could have avoided this loser if you had used supply and demand zones for your decisions. So let's see the same chart, the same time frame, the same pair with the supply and demand indicator on it. So it's the same here. Here was our place where we placed here the resistance line, and here you decided to enter the sell trade. Okay, this was where you entered the sell trade. And you can see on our supply and demand indicator, you see here this demand zone. This was the correct target. This zone has been painted from the indicator after you got here this strong green candle. So when you entered here your sell trade, this zone was already there. And you could decide, okay, this is my logical target for this trade. And you can see it reached this target perfectly. And then you had a winner. And after that it was going up again. But the target was here and not here. And so supply and demand trading helps you to find perfect targets for your own trades. Here's another example. We are on the Kiwi dollar. It's the M15 time frame. Let's assume you decided here to jump into a buy trade here around. And maybe the reason for this is you see here's a support here. A price bounced before and it came all the way back down. And maybe you have an indicator or your own trading method which gave you a buy signal. Let's place this signal here. Let's say you got here a buy signal. Okay, maybe because here it bounced on the support line and then it was going higher, it made a higher high here, and so your indicator or your trading method gave you here a buy signal. You jumped in this buy trade, and the question is now, what is a good target for this trade? Is it maybe here because we have here kind of support again, that you say, okay, this is a good target, but then you missed here again this pips? Or is it maybe here this one, because this was also a kind of resistance now? So missed again, it was going higher. So which is the perfect target? You're a little bit lost here. But if you use the supply and demand indicator and the supply and demand trading, you will find your perfect target. Let's look at the same chart with supply and demand trading on it. You can see, I place it again for you. You jumped in here with your buy trade, and then you can see here is a supply zone. This supply zone has been painted on your chart after this move here. It was already there, this zone here, after this move. So when you entered here your buy trade, this white box was already on your chart. And so this is a logical target, because here it is very likely that the price could bounce on this supply zone, and it did bounce here. And you can see, if you had used this here as a target or this here as a target, you have missed a lot of pips. And here you have again your perfect target for this buy trade, and the price stopped here moving higher. Okay, let's do a third example. We are here on the Swiss yen on the H4. And maybe you had a trend line here. Let's say we had here a trend line. You can see it bounced here and bounced here. So, and you waited for a possible sell trade maybe, and you saw, okay, it has not been going higher here. You can see a lot of spikes, and it spiked, it broke here this trend line, and maybe you got from an external indicator a sell signal. After this break of this trend line, you get here a sell signal. Whatever indicator it is, maybe it's your own trading decision, you go here into a sell trade. What is a good target for you? Here maybe, because it was a kind of support here and here. You can see, if I draw here a line, it matches here a bit with this spikes here and here. So this is a very short target if you entered here to here. So what is a good target for this trade? You see, it was going down and down and down and down. But who could know that it's going so deep down? If we check it with the supply and demand zones on it, you can see it here. We have here the supply and demand trading zones on it. This here is the trend line we had on our chart before, this one here. You can see, if we compare it here, it broke it here, and it's the same line here. So you got your sell entry here around, and then you can see we had here a demand zone. This yellow box here, it's a demand zone, and it was already there when you entered here your sell trade. This yellow box was already there on your chart, and this is a logical target. And look, it perfectly was going down to this zone, and then from there on it bounced again, it was going higher. So you could make with this decision, if you jumped in, let's say here after this second red candle, you could make here over 400 pips for this target here. And so supply and demand trading with the indicator, with the supply and demand indicator on it, helps a lot to find perfect targets for your trades. You need, of course, a little bit patient, because it was a long trade, but stick to your rules and look for the perfect targets. On the same way, supply and demand trading can help to stay out of bad trading decisions. Okay, so let's look here on the out yen. We are here on the H4 time frame. You can see, yes, we have here interesting trading situation. It seems it formed here a kind of double top here, and you can see it formed here a lower high compared to this one, and then there came this big red candle here. You can see it here, this big red candle, and maybe you decided to jump here into a sell trade, because it looks like this could go down. You see, even here compared to this, it was going down and down. So we have here lower high, again a lower high. And so maybe you could come to the decision to jump here into a sell trade here. Is this a good decision? You have no supply and demand zones on your chart. Maybe there is a demand zone below here, and where the price could suddenly bounce. And then this trading decision is a bad decision. So let's check here. It's January the 11th here, where we decided to jump into this sell trade, and now we compared the same pair, the same chart with supply and demand zones on it. And so let's see, where is the January the 11th? Here we have it. So this was the big red candle we saw here around, and so we jumped here into the sell trade, and yeah, there is a demand zone below of us, and you can see it bounced then here. So if you had this on your chart, you maybe considered not to jump into this sell trade, or you use this here as a target and then you are out of this trade. So again, supply and demand zones helps a lot. Or let's take this example here on the pound Swissy. We are on the H4, and we have here a very interesting situation. It's going higher and higher, it forms higher highs, higher lows, so it looks like a nice upward trend here. And we have this big green candle, which is a good price action indication that it maybe goes higher. And it broke here, you can see it, it broke here this last high, so it was going higher. And maybe you decide then to jump here into a buy trade, or maybe you have an indicator on your chart, and this gives a buy signal here for whatever reason, but you have no supply and demand zones on your chart. Maybe there is a supply zone above us, and then maybe price cannot go higher and bounces a lot. So let's check with supply and demand zones on it, on the pound Swissy, the same time frame, and let's see when it was. We're here on the January the 20th, you can see it here, and let's check where it is here. So it was this green candle here. You can see this was the green candle we saw. This was the candle which broke here this last high, and then you decided to jump into a buy trade, but you missed a very, very important fact. Here is a supply zone. This candle is in front of a supply zone. Can you see it? There's a lot of supply here. Do you see all the supply here? Supply, 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 multi-supply zones here. And so price began here to struggle and was going down and a bit up and a bit down. So it could not go higher. If you had this information on your chart, you maybe had not opened this buy trade here, because it was very likely that the price begins here to bounce or to struggle here on this position. Again, with the supply and demand indicator on it, you have made a better trading decision. Of course, this works on lower time frames too. Here's an example on the M15 on the dollar CAD. We have here a situation where maybe you came to the conclusion that it goes up here on this way. You see we had here a support. This was a big support. It bounced here a lot, and it bounced here, and then it spiked here again. So all signs are in the buy direction. Maybe you got here after this green candle a buy signal from your external indicator, or it's your own trading decision. So you open here a buy trade, but you have no information and no clue if there's maybe a supply zone here higher, so that it's maybe not a good idea to open here a buy trade. So let's check this position here, and we jump here in. This is the spike you saw here. This is this candle here, and then you opened here your buy trade. And here is the supply zone on M15. So you are in front and ahead of a supply zone, which is very likely that the price could bounce. And it did bounce here. Your buy trade did not work. If you had here you placed your stop loss, you had been stopped out. It was a loser here. If you had the supply and demand zones with the indicator on your chart, you would have known that it's a very, very bad idea to open here a buy trade ahead of such a supply zone. So again, with the supply and demand trading zones on it, you can avoid such bad trading decisions. I hope you could see that supply and demand zones are more than the perfect entries. Supply and demand trading avoids bad trading decisions and give you very, very good targets. I wish you all the best. Until next time, see you soon.